Hi everyone. It has been a while since I've made one of these videos where we just sit down, look at some pretty coins, and just chat about coin collecting. Numismatic has become a part of my everyday life, and it probably is for many of you watching. And you know what? It is a very positive part of it. These pieces of history we can hold in our hands have taught me so much about history, about how societies worked in the past, and honestly, about how people work, how humans behaved in the past, and how to understand a lot about the world we currently live in, as much of it can be traced back to simple human nature, repeated over and over throughout history and manifested visually on coinage. And among all hobbies out there and the ways to spend your money, frankly, collecting ancient coins must be one of the most harmless and most cost-efficient ones. I mean, you won't break a bone, get intoxicated, or gamble away your money by spending a couple of hours researching some Roman denarius. But the act of collecting has a series of deep psychological, how can I put it, reasons, motivations behind it. And just like any other activity, there are productive and destructive ways of incorporating that hobby into your life. I have noticed throughout these last few years I've been collecting that there are three negative archetypes, three ways that this hobby can become a destructive force in one's life. Everyone manifests them to a certain degree, and it is our personal job to have the humility to critically observe our own behavior and keep these demons at bay, so collecting keeps being a positive and enriching experience in our lives. The line between a collection and a hoard is actually thinner than you might think. A periodic expenditure of money into the creation of a beautiful, personal narrative in coin form is actually not very far away from an addiction, from a hard-to-control urge for the next big thing. And the enrichment of one's knowledge into a field, if not well focused on empowering the numismatic community, can quickly devolve into this close-minded, pedantic way of treating your fellow numismatists. But let's drop the philosophical talk for a bit and actually get to what these three negative archetypes are. Remember, we all have a little bit or a lot of each of these three in us. As we'll see, they are part of our very nature as humans once more. I've given these psychological phenomena names so we can better understand them. The first one is the addict, the second one is the cranky old man, and the third is the dragon. Let's start by the addict. I'm going to show you two coins now. First, here I have a special little coin here. This is my very first ancient coin. A very common, very mediocre late Roman bronze piece. When I first got my hands on this coin as a history buff, the feeling of exhilaration, of euphoria of knowing I owned a piece of Roman history was something indescribable. I studied all about that coin. It led me to another coin that got me very excited. I also studied it, and then to the next, and then to the next, and here we are today. And then there's this other little guy here. This one I received on the mail a week ago. This is my first full-sized gold coin, a Byzantine solidus. Compared to what I typically collect, this was a major purchase. After 5 years of collecting, it took me a full-sized gold coin to give me the same level of excitement that a humble bronze coin used to give me. Think about your own experience. How many times have you purchased a coin, had a jolt of excitement, another dose of pleasure of knowing it was arriving, just for it to finally get to you, you enjoyed it for a couple of minutes, and off it goes to your album or cabinet with the rest of your coins, and there you are once more looking for the next coin. Sadly, the kind of chemical impulses a collector gets in their brain when getting a new coin is exactly the same as an addict does when getting another dose of their drug. And just like the addict, repetition creates resistance, and resistance requires ever greater thrills, ever better coins to feel that emotional, that sensation gap. To make matters even worse, there's another psychological phenomena that affects all of us that is called the hedonic treadmill. It is the tendency of people to return to a baseline level of happiness after happy events, such as getting a new coin, and a constant sense of dissatisfaction with your current situation. Let's say you collect Roman coins and you really want to make a set of all 5 good emperors. You love Roman history and you know you will be a happier person when you have a numismatic piece of each of these 5 great men in your possession. You save, you do your research, and you finally get the 5 coins. You feel very happy. For a while. Until that itch comes back. What's next? Can I maybe upgrade that Hadrian? Sadly, this is an integral part of human psyche. We're always wanting more. And on that endless quest for more, it is very easy to end up spending a little bit more than you should have. Maybe you decided not traveling with your significant other so you could save up for that next coin. Maybe you turned down on going to the bar with your friends because next week's auction has that really cool coin coming up. It might sound absurd at first, but it happens. Little by little, the search for bigger and better things will always be there. And it has a very real potential power of damaging your relationships or your finances. Building a collection is an endless journey, but life, friendships, these do have an end, a limit on how far you can strain them. Is your collection pushing these other parts of your life to the breaking point? Do you collect coins, or does your collection collect you? I'll leave that question to you. And how could you possibly avoid falling for that trap? Personally, I try at least, for a moment, to forget all of the emotional value a coin may have to me, its historical significance, its potential resale value in the future, and look at a coin with an objective, materialistic eye. It is a piece of metal that is very old, just that, and that does not define me. My life isn't just about that, a piece of metal. Just like my collection is a materialized form of my personality, so is my social circle, all the things in my life. Your coins are very special for you, that's perfectly fine. But remember, at the end of the day, they are metal discs, and there's a whole lot of other great things around you that you should be paying attention to. Know when to put your coins away. We then move on to the cranky old man. There's this funny stereotype about numismatists that the typical coin collector is an 85-year-old cranky old man. And you know what? That stereotype is absolutely correct. Not because the average age of coin collectors is 85, but because the number of 25s, 35s, 45s that have the attitude of a cranky 85-year-old man is absurd. Despite numismatics having the potential of being a very introspective hobby, all kinds of collecting also have a strong social aspect to it. Collecting ancient coins, in particular being such a vast academic field, requires a social component to it. Sharing your collection, your knowledge, and your research has real potential of eventually pushing the overall human knowledge of numismatics a little bit further. Collecting must be a social activity, and you should really get out there and get in touch with other collectors. But collecting something and studying a subject implies a search for mastery. When you mix the emotional attachment one has to his or her collection and the investment of time on mastering a subject, it is very easy to get your ego mixed in. This channel is a good example of it. I would never call myself an expert in numismatics, but I definitely know more than an absolute beginner. And I consistently receive comments in these videos about how much they have helped collectors get started, how knowledgeable I sound. And you know what? It would be very easy for someone to read these comments over and over, time after time, and eventually convince themselves they are something special. But it only takes a couple of minutes of conversation, for example, with Damian from Numis channel, another numismatics channel I deeply admire, to quickly realize I'm nothing special and I still have lots to learn. I can react to this in two ways. I can either accept pragmatically that I still have much to learn, or be a cranky old man and claim I know better. Sadly, over and over in the numismatic community, we see people reacting poorly when they have a theory question or a mistake fairly pointed out to them by someone else, and this really hurts themselves as collectors and the entire community. And what can I tell you so you don't become a cranky old man? Remember, your collection and your knowledge about coins, accrued after so many years and so much effort, might be a part of you, but it is not what gives you value as a person. If someone questions your attribution of a coin, God forbid someone argues that one of your cherished coins is a fake that escaped your very keen and experienced eye, they might be right. They might be talking out of their asses, but remember, they're talking about that piece of metal. They are not getting that key part of your personality, that coin collector part of you, and breaking it down. And finally, we have the dragon. And for this one, I want you to visualize Smaug from The Hobbit. For those of you who don't know who Smaug is, he is your typical dragon that sits over a pile of treasure. Smaug sat over his pile of gold, gemstones, and coins for so long that the treasure started to fuse into his body, becoming something like an armor plate made out of treasure. On the Hobbit story, that's one of the things that made him nearly unkillable. He was covered in metal from top to bottom. I see quite a few collectors who end up becoming like Smaug. They might be collecting for a long time, they might have developed a great eye for coins, they might have found different collecting niches that they like now because, as we know, a collection is something organic, or at least it must be organic, it must change, it must evolve. Yet, they have never, ever sold a single coin. They might look and enjoy like 10% of their collection, but the other 90% will sit there in their pile of treasure because God forbid this part of who they are goes away. And how could you avoid becoming yet another hoarding dragon? It's funny that I'm repeating myself at this point, but once more, I need to hit on that fact that the value, the richness in collecting ancient coins, of being a numismatist, comes from the culture, the understanding, the enjoyment you get from your coins, from studying, from researching, from sharing that passion with other people, and from becoming yourself an interesting and cultured person. Being a bit poetic here, the silver and the gold might be shiny, but your rich personality must shine brighter than your coins. And you know, unless you are some sort of Saudi prince with unlimited money, you might have to let go of some of these old coins that don't fit your collection anymore. After a while, you will realize that there's a whole lot of capital invested in your collection, but you're not obtaining any enjoyment from some of your coins anymore. It might be time for some of your hoard to become someone else's treasure. Here's once again that Solidus I purchased recently. Sadly, the price for gold coins has risen in the last few years quite a bit, and that's the kind of coin I would not be able to comfortably buy with my budget. I took a very thorough look at my collection, auctioned off 20 of my older coins. I realized did not have a place in my collection anymore, and here it is, a coin I truly cherish that makes sense in my collection and that gives me real enjoyment. Could I have gotten rid of 30, 40 coins? Yes, likely. I will admit I have a bit of a hoarding dragon in myself, but some people seem to be incapable of letting go of a single coin. Ask yourself, do you have a hoarding dragon inside of you? Greedily hoarding away coins that do not add anything to your collection. I invite you to go through your coins. Look at each piece, ask yourself very honestly the question, does this coin fit my collection? Does it add anything to the story, to the narration that my collection wants to tell people? And you might come up with all sorts of excuses as to why this coin kinda doesn't fit in it anymore, but it kinda does. Be honest with yourself. Should this coin stay or should it go? So yeah, like with any other hobbies, coin collecting can have a dark side. although this is a marvelous hobby. Hopefully this philosophical rambling might have helped one or two of you to become a more productive, a more enlightened collector maybe. So yeah, I hope this helped people. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you did like it, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing for more content. Happy collecting, healthy collecting, and I'll see you soon.